Welcome to the Therapeutic Food Solutions podcast. I'm your host, Marian Mitchell. I'm an integrative nutrition health coach, therapeutic diet expert, and founder of The Road to Living Whole. There are many different diets out there. It's hard to know which one is right for you with your chronic illness and autoimmune disease. In this podcast, I'm going to share with you the foundational pieces every single therapeutic diet out there shares, and also how to use the best one for your particular diagnosis. If you've been looking for a meal planning partner, help navigating the complicated healthcare system, and want to feel better quickly, I'm your girl. Grab your kombucha and notebook. Let's dive in. Hey everybody, I have Amy Graves back on the podcast today, and I'm so excited because this is the new year and a lot of people start their health goals in January. But also there's a new emphasis on eating real food. And one of the biggest struggles with eating real food is, how do I cook it? And how do I store it? What do I do with it? If I'm going to be eating all of this real food, I don't know what to do with it. Food storage especially is, I think, the hardest thing, especially, so I live in Phoenix, and especially in the summer, things get hot and they go bad within 1 or 2 days of coming home.
Yep.
Very frustrating. I feel like I have to go to the grocery store every morning to get my food for the day so it doesn't go bad by
Yep.
tomorrow when I want to make something with it. It's very frustrating. And in our last interview, when we concluded, she and I were chit-chatting after because I just adore Amy. And we were talking about like food storage and preparation being the most difficult thing that people struggle with. It's actually why I have a job, because that's
Mhm.
what I teach people to do, is how to make it taste good. So
Yeah.
Amy and I are going to talk about it because she buys all of her food from farmers markets, small
Yep.
farms, and all of this. And there is a method to be followed. And so Amy's going to give us all of her wisdom and insight. But before we get started on the topic of the day, give us a brief introduction of who you are, if people haven't listened to our other episode yet, so that they know
Yeah.
what they're getting into.
Oh, I adore you, Marian. I was so excited. This brightened up my Monday to be here. My name is Amy Graves. I am the author of The Hidden Consumer, Uncovering the Power of Health Conscious Buyers. Oh, that's a mouthful. And what I really do is I've transitioned fully into working with clients who want to eat better. They want to eat the real food, but they're coming from that ultra processed level of not knowing how do you eat better because you just buy what's in a grocery store. So I talk about small steps. It's a gradual process. Nothing happens overnight, and I don't go cold turkey with my clients. I don't believe that works. So unless you
I
have
completely
allergies,
agree.
it's life or death.
Yeah. Yeah. Allergies and, a chronic illness that's debilitating, kind of, and that's kind of how
Yeah,
you and I got shoved into
to this
this
world. Yep.
world, really. And I feel like that's a lot of people, but also, because there has to be somewhere where you're uncomfortable to want to be healthy. Very
Yeah.
few people want to get healthy for looks.
Yep.
And the people who do actually aren't healthy. I just had this whole conversation about bodybuilders and how they're some of the most unhealthy people on the planet. And
Right.
after shows or while they're in the middle of these competitions, they have kidney failure because they're so dehydrated and malnourished.
Mm-hmm.
So yes,
Yep.
I love baby steps. It's funny because it's the new year. And for some reason, probably because I look at this stuff, I get a bunch of trainers and a lot of like dietitians and doctors and things. And this one personal trainer was like, stop the bad habits and life will get better. And I'm like,
No.
I was like, I don't know if that's the best advice, because if you stop something and you have nothing to fill it, it leaves a void and
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
gets filled by something. And usually it's going back to the bad habit. I believe more in
Mhm.
a gradual crowding out, like
Yep.
starting something new, that like if you want to stop eating ultra processed food and start eating real food, well, maybe you start with the easiest meal of the day,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
my method is, let's add a vegetable to your meals. That's
Yeah.
my big one. But then the struggle is, okay, well, I grew up eating boiled frozen broccoli and that's disgusting. So how do I make vegetables taste good, Amy?
I actually my gradual thing is, let's start with a snack. And my
Oh,
goal
okay.
is we track how they feel. So they get to eat their processed with their healthier snack every other day. And
Okay.
then they have to track how they feel before and after eating that snack, and then do an end of day kind of how did my day go, and see if they can start seeing that differences. Because the big issue is if you're eating ultra processed, it's reducing your cognitive ability. You're going to feel sluggish. You're going to feel fatigued. Versus even just putting in one healthier snack, it can how uh, change how much more energy you get for the rest of the day eating one better snack. So I always, because I want to make sure that people who are eating better also see that connection with how they're feeling, because you're
Yeah.
not going to maintain if you're not connecting feeling better with that one food.
So, as a health coach, what I have found when people, because again, I get people that are more in acute situations, right? They're dealing
Hmm.
with, they're debilitated by their chronic illness symptoms, or
Yep.
they're on their way to be. They feel it coming, and what happens is,
Yep.
we kind of overhaul the diet. I would say within 4 weeks, we're
Yep.
overhauling it, which is relatively quickly, and they don't realize that they're feeling better until they have a cheat
Yep.
day, which I hate that term, but they,
But
life
they need it.
happens and they revert back to their old habits. And then all of a
Yep.
sudden it hits them like a truck. And
Hmm.
it's negative reinforcement. I love the approach of positive, even though I know the
Yep.
negative will happen. I love the emphasis on really learning how to reconnect with your body. Because one thing ultra
Yep.
processed food does is your mind and body become disconnected, and
Yep.
you don't understand how food makes you feel because you feel bad all the time, really.
Yeah. Right.
So,
And until you take it out, you don't realize it.
but
I
taking it
mean,
out's really difficult. One of the things we talked
yeah.
about was affordability,
Yep.
but also I don't know how to make it taste good. Those are, I
Yeah.
find, the two biggest struggles for people.
Yep. And especially if you're just starting, I mean, I think we talked about this on the last episode too, about how our taste buds basically die. Like you have to literally regenerate your taste buds to be able to taste what food is supposed to taste like. Because
Yeah,
your taste buds are so overwhelmed with all the sugars and everything else going on that it can't taste what the actual food tastes like. And
yeah,
here's the key. If you're eating ultra processed and it's loaded with sugars, it's because there's no taste.
yeah. Sugar and salt is really what it is, right? You either have
Salt
super
too,
sugary
yeah.
or super savory, super salty.
Oh,
Like, I remember the first time I cut out soda. And then it was like at a party or something, or my blood sugar crashed, and that's like what I had. And it tasted
yeah.
so chemically. It was disgusting,
Right. Yep.
And
Yep.
it is this series of eliminating, replacing, and then you do it and you're like, why did I ever like this? But people, when they're first starting,
Yeah.
cannot even wrap their head around this because it tastes so good to them. And that food that they're supposed to eat, this healthy, real food has no flavor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's amazing. But we're going to segue here for you. And if
Okay.
you think about this, one of the hardest things for people though when it comes to eating all those healthy foods is how they keep it stored.
Yeah.
So when I realized I could no longer buy groceries at a grocery store, like including the vegetables, and I had to go to a farmer's market every day to get or once a week. I had Sundays. Sundays was my farmer's market day. Um, I had to figure out quickly because even in the middle of winter, my stuff was dying within a day or two. And I'm like, this is so much money.
Yeah.
Right. So I started reading the old cookbooks because they would have snippets in there about how to better preserve your food to make it last longer.
Oh, okay.
And so a lot of what my husband and
What
I
kind
started
I'm
doing, because
sorry
my
to
husband
interrupt.
is,
Is that like
yeah,
1800s cookbooks
yeah,
or
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, my great grandma who was born in I think she was born 1890. Like I went
Okay.
through her cookbook stash.
Got it. That's what I was thinking. I was like, it had to have been pre-1920s.
Yes,
So,
yes. And then I would shop like antique and thrift stores, and I would
mhm.
see what I could find, what was written. What are really good places also are, I grew up in the Midwest, so we had church cookbooks, and a lot of the information they had, even in the 1950s, were from like that pre-immigration to the America. So they would put those little snippets in those church cookbooks as well. So you could find some fun resources, but really what it turned out is once I learned a couple of simple techniques, and I'm going to put together a coupon code, which I'll give to you for your listeners. I have a pamphlet, not a pamphlet. I call it my It's a bookish thing. It's like maybe 3 or 4 pages long, and it's called storage. It's literally how do you keep it's food storage tips. So I'll give you that, and it walks through with images of everything I'm going to talk about today. But it's how
Awesome.
to keep various from fruit to veggies going. My root vegetables I can will hold up in my refrigerator for 4 weeks, and I have a picture of it in this food storage tips because
That's awesome.
you'd be, it was I was at like okay one more day and I'm gonna have to just toss this,
Yeah.
but it was
Yeah.
still edible.
It's funny because we used to have root cellars in homes
Right?
and we
Yeah.
don't do that anymore. Like refrigerations replaced it, but I find that almost for me, living here where it's so much warmer than other places, is the refrigerator can actually make stuff go too bad quickly too,
Yep.
depending on. And so it's like it's almost too cold, and
Yeah.
it's just like this, it was such a frustrating journey for me. And I know that it is for a lot of people, but where you and I differ from a lot of the people who are listening is we had the mental capacity
Yeah.
to make space to learn that skill. So I love that
Yes.
you have like a resource that can make it easier for people so they don't have to go
Yes.
finding cookbooks from the early 20th century, 1800s on how to store food so that it lasts longer. Like
Yep.
that's amazing. But so give us some tidbits. Give
Okay.
us some
So
secrets.
carrots, anything that's got like an actual root on it, so your root vegetables, your beets, things like that, you could wrap in a damp paper cloth and then put in a freezer bag and leave the freezer bag open by like an inch and just stick it in your vegetable drawer and it will hold up for up to 4 weeks.
That's awesome.
Because what they're looking for is water. It's not the soil they need, it's the water. So if you keep that wet, it will literally come out dry.
That's true. One of the things I do when I bring baby greens and stuff home, is I shove a paper towel in the top of the container
Yep.
and then I flip it over so that the water hits the bottom and the paper towel. And
Yes.
I have found that, especially in the summers, I found that helped them last 2 to 3 times longer.
Yep. The other thing with like greens is you have to be really specific. So like I love spinach, but I come home and I spread it out so it dries out on my cabinet and then I pull out the bad spinach
Hmm.
because it's that bad spinach that's going to ruin your entire bunch within a day or two if you don't pull out the bad stuff.
Yeah.
So and I know my farmer's market is very generous at giving you like bags of spinach, so like I'm okay getting
Yeah.
rid of some of the bad ones.
Yeah, I have found that too. Again, that comes back to the summer when things were going bad, is I found that I
Yeah.
had to dump my thing out, pull out all the ones that were getting dark spots or were already
Yeah.
slimy
Yeah.
and pull them out.
Yep. Yep. And it's the same with your fruit. Like I keep my fruit in an open air container in my refrigerator. So like we eat a lot of strawberries, raspberries, blackberries, and blueberries. But
Hmm.
I put like the stuff that was on the bottom of the container on top because
Hmm.
typically the farmers are going to put the worst quality on the bottom so you can't see it. Got to know the tricks. Eat the bottom first. And then, but it's the beauty of it being in a just an open container with no lid, and it's a glass container means I can see it. So every time I open my refrigerator, I'm like, oh, I'll just have a handful of that.
Yeah.
Right? You got to make, because one of the biggest issues because I've worked a lot and talked to a lot of people who are what we call neurospicy. That's how we like to refer to ourselves, right? So they forget what's in their vegetable drawer.
Hmm.
Well, one of the things I do in my storage guide is I actually tell you some other techniques you can use to help keep that visual reminder. But that's the big point. It's how do you keep things within your eyesight? So when you go
Hmm.
in to make a meal, it's there. You know it's
Yeah.
there. When it comes to like lettuce I do store in a safe for me plastic bag, but I don't put the wet paper towel in with it because I find that it just makes it wet, which means
Yeah.
it's
I
going to
do
go bad
dry to
faster.
absorb the water.
Yes,
So I
yes.
wrap it, so I rinse it, I pat it dry, I throw that away, and then I wrap it in a dry paper
The
towel
one
to
so
pull the
it
water
sucks out.
away.
Yep,
But I also make a plan when I do buy my leafy greens, whether it's kale, so chard,
yep,
romaine lettuce or anything like that, I want to use it within the first like 3 to 4 days. And then after I
Yes.
use it, I still have another couple days after that. So I get
Yep.
about 5 days out of it. I think that part of planning is, and it's trial and error, but people get so frustrated with the
Yeah.
process, is understanding like when I buy this, I need to eat it within this time frame and
Yep.
going in with a plan. And I think that that's
Yes.
really, really hard when you're brand new. So I like the idea of
Yep.
snacks. I also like my plan of just like whatever you're currently eating, add a vegetable. Like I don't
Yes.
care, like
That
if I
works
don't care if
well.
you're eating frozen corn dogs that you heat in a toaster oven, add whatever vegetables you're willing to eat. Like I had one client who would only eat raw carrots, raw mushrooms, and cooked broccoli. Like those were that was what
Cool.
he was willing to eat. And I was like, well, pick one and eat it while it's heating up.
Yep.
And he started feeling better instantly. I mean, he had some like major migraines behind his eyes that would affect his
Oh,
vision.
yep.
And like he'd be debilitated 21-ish days out of the month. And
Oof.
within a week, it was down to like a couple of days. And
Right.
he wasn't getting like the vision spots and things. And so his
Yeah.
was pretty immediate. And from there, he was willing to try more. And he had,
Because he
you know,
saw
his
the
mom was
benefits.
willing to make things and teach him how to make things.
Yeah.
And so by the end of our 3 months together, he was eating all real food. He wouldn't touch Taco Bell anymore. He
Mhm.
wouldn't touch soda anymore. He wouldn't do any like frozen processed food. Like, I mean, and he
That's
learned how to like
awesome.
make steak and chicken and all of that. But it was like just
Yeah.
saying, hey, whatever you know you like to eat, and I don't care if it's raw, if it's cooked, if it's canned, if it's frozen, I don't care. Just add it to your meal and eat it first while the other stuff is cooking. And that was really, really effective.
Yeah.
So,
That's
it's
awesome.
just finding easy ways to add it in. I think for busy people who work, adding it for snacks is good instead of reaching for candy or cookies or muffins as having like a real food snack. But like,
Yep.
because you have to be on autopilot when you're really, really in a season of busyness.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever, you're on autopilot a lot, and sometimes even
Yep.
adding a vegetable to a meal can be too much, but having an apple with peanut butter is something that someone can do, or a banana with peanut
Yeah.
butter. Like I even have people do banana peanut butter with chocolate chips. Like I'm like, because they're
Whatever
like,
works.
I need my sugar fix. And I'm like, okay, well, how about we do a banana with peanut butter and then sprinkle some chocolate chips on top? And,
Yeah.
within a week they don't need the chocolate chips anymore type of thing. And so I love that,
That's
the
awesome.
like that,
Yeah.
yeah, those little things. Okay, so we have wrapping root vegetables in a wet paper towel, wrapping
Yep.
lettuce in a dry paper towel, and picking
Towel.
out the ones that are starting to turn dark green or slimy with
Yep.
berries, flipping the container over,
And putting
and
it in a
eating.
glass container. That's the
Yes,
big one.
a see-through one. Yes, having stuff available. I've learned for my kids that if I leave a plate of chopped veggies and like fruit that's pre-peeled and ready for
Right.
them while I'm cooking, they're a lot happier and they're not bugging
Yep.
me for snacks while waiting for dinner to
Yep.
cook.
Yep. I do that too. I actually will pre-cut up my most of my veggies for the week and put them in the refrigerator just add them to my meals.
What are some tricks for that so that they don't go bad very quickly?
Um, I plan out like I look at what I have to stick to a meal plan, right? So like I've bought because my grocery store is only available once a week. I can't
Yeah.
just run. I literally go to the farmer's market with my meal plan in hand. I'm eating this, this, and this. What do I need to go with it? Um, if it's a root vegetable, not a potato, I will cut it up early in advance and just put it in a you can just put those in a glass container in your refrigerator if you're going to use it within 2 to 3 days. That's how I store even my sliced carrots for snacking. It's just sliced up, ready to go. When I'm not feeling like being Bugs Bunny, and just
Yeah.
eat the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love carrots. Like
Yeah.
those are like my vegetable.
Yeah,
I do
my two
beautiful.
youngest kids love them. Like if I'm chopping them for dinner, they will come over and steal an entire stick, whether it's been
Yep.
peeled or not, and just start
Yep.
eating it. And they're
They're
so
great.
happy that I'm like, let me just grab a couple more carrots, or I guess I'm adding a different vegetable into this dish.
Oh no.
Um,
You can't
it's
get
a
mad
good
at them.
it's a good problem to have. Yeah, I always tell my kids they get unlimited fruits and veggies. You never have to ask.
That's good.
But with like, I do keep things like pretzels and Z bars and things on
Yeah.
hand for like the to-go things that don't get moldy in the backpacks.
Yep.
Um, but also just for filling food because sometimes fruits and veggies don't cut it. But I'm always like, you
Yeah.
have to ask because they're not an unlimited one, but you never have to ask with fruits and vegetables.
Yep.
And
That's
I
great.
think that, and I think, you know, whether people go to a farmer's market or a grocery store and, you know, if people who are new to it typically go to a grocery store and tend to graduate to a farmer's market as
Yeah.
you learn about food quality and chemicals and things like that. But
Yep.
everybody has to start somewhere.
Yes.
And I have also found that by eating real food, going in with a plan is what makes it affordable.
Yes.
So, going in not just buying random stuff that like, oh, well, this is green and this is yellow, but like saying, okay, I know my kids will eat cutie oranges. I know my
Yep.
kids will eat rocket apples. I know my
Yep.
kids will eat green grapes,
Yep.
and then knowing, okay, I need one zucchini and one, bell pepper or two bell peppers and a whole bunch of carrots because everybody eats carrots and
Hmm.
just really having a plan and not just buying random stuff really can. I remember it cut back on my grocery bill by like $400 when I
Yeah.
first really
Yep.
got away from just being healthy and just experimenting to like, oh, maybe I should actually plan this out. And so maybe we can talk a few tips about meal planning. So, we
Yeah.
talk about storage. Okay, I what do you think about storage of fruit? Like not just in the fridge, but are there certain fruits or produce that are better on the shelf? Because I know some people who literally throw their entire produce section in their fridge, and
Ooh.
yeah,
Ooh.
including
Like I
bananas, including onions, including potatoes. Yeah.
oh,
So
ooh, like
I
they
think
go bad so much faster in the refrigerator.
so I think we need to
Like,
talk about that. What foods are
yeah.
better on the countertop?
Well, and for us, like I'm always putting my squash, my potatoes, my onions, my garlic, bananas. Oranges we actually do keep in the refrigerator because they will last longer in the refrigerator.
That's what I found too.
Um, yeah, but like anything that's like a gourd, any type of gourd, I would never put those in the refrigerator.
Yeah, so like right now it's January, so we're
Yep,
looking at acorn squash, butternut squash, spaghetti
yep.
squash.
Eggplant too is right now, and I my
Yeah.
eggplant stays on the counter.
Yeah, so, and then potatoes,
Mhm.
sweet potatoes,
Yep,
those all onions, garlic, those all are on the counter, right?
yeah.
And you can't put onions and potatoes in the same bowl for
No,
storage.
no.
They make each other go bad very quickly.
Yep,
And I
two
always
separate
see,
refrigerators.
it's TikTok is something I'm venturing into currently. And I see so much bad advice about
It,
storage. And it's all about
right?
aesthetics and not about utility.
What?
And so I think that this is why we're having this conversation, right? So, in the fridge, we're keeping oranges, we're
Yeah,
keeping berries, we're keeping dark
yep,
leafy greens,
yep,
we're keeping root vegetables wrapped
yep.
in a plastic bag or it wrapped in a
Good.
wet cloth or
Well,
damp
yep.
cloth, damp, not wet,
Yeah.
in a bag that has a little bit of air for breathing. And then on the counter, we're keeping gourds, potatoes, onions, garlic. We're separating potatoes from
Yeah,
onions and
they
garlic.
have their yeah, they have their own container on. Like this is my potato container. I have
Yeah.
my onion and garlic container. And then,
Yeah.
everything else is just kind of littered on the counter.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Because
I
they're too
like I
big.
yeah. So I have like a tri-level thing and my onions are on top and my potatoes are on the bottom and then my gourds, yeah, if they fit in the middle when they're there and then they're sprinkled around it.
Yep. Tomatoes are the one exception. And this is like, for the most part, tomatoes I will keep on my counter because generally, depending on the season, they'll last longer.
Yep.
But and I can't can. So, like, because of how canning jars are created, they're made with my allergen. But I can make, I typically use tomatoes for like tomato sauce. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll buy up a bunch of tomatoes at once. And then I'll just spend like an afternoon making tomato sauce and I'll put them in cans and then those go in my refrigerator.
Okay.
And then I could have like 4 to 5 weeks of tomato sauce freshly
Yeah.
made, right? So,
Yeah.
because this time of year, I want to say, is it this time of year they go moldy? No, it's usually, I think in the summer they go moldy faster. If you do store your tomatoes in the refrigerator, they got to be upside down.
Hmm.
So most people don't realize that.
Nope. I didn't know that for years. I also didn't know for years that they were supposed to be on the counter and not in the fridge. And I was getting pissed that they were going bad so fast because I buy
Yeah.
heirloom tomatoes
Oh,
and they
my
taste
favorite.
amazing. They go bad
Yep.
relatively quickly. They get bumps and bruises. And
Yep.
I was like, I'm like, this is ridiculous. I am doing something wrong. And, instead of blaming the food, I'm like, what am I doing that's not handling
What?
it right?
Yeah.
Again, I have the space, capacity, and
Yes.
desire. This is
Well,
my
there we go.
job. This is what I do.
Yep.
And so it's little things like that, like knowing potatoes and onions don't go together, and what goes on the
Oh,
counter and what goes on the fridge is really,
yeah.
really helpful. I also am a big fan, and I think the Midwest is a little bit of an exception than the rest of the country when it comes to like canning and pickling and things like that. But like I love fermenting vegetables and
Oh,
can
yeah.
ferment, broccoli, cauliflower, carrots all together. You can do okra.
Yeah.
I love making pickles and my own sauerkraut. And there's those things that like fermentation is a whole other journey because you have to watch for mold and specimens and
Yeah.
things. But it is such a great way to store food, to get probiotics from our food, to release vitamin C and other antioxidants in our food.
Yeah.
And, for busy people who are just dipping their toes in, this might be a little bit of like a, what are you taking me through, you guys? But just to say, like, these are all ways to preserve food.
Reserve.
And, for me, I didn't grow up canning or anything like that. And
Yeah.
so, and I think that's the majority of the country. You have the Midwest, which is a
You
little
know,
slice of like, a little slice of heaven in there where they still teach, and in the South, they still teach these old world skills,
yeah.
but for most of us, we're not getting that. Or like,
Getting it.
again, we're not even eating real food. We don't know that potatoes and onions aren't supposed to be stored together. TikTok
Right.
shows that them in the same wicker basket. You
Or
know?
I'm trying to think if I put asparagus in my book, in that re my resource guide. But asparagus, you're supposed to do standing
Yep.
in water.
Yep. I cut off the bottom. I get
Yep.
fresh water in a cup and I just stand it up in it.
We don't cut off the bottom. How
Okay.
long does yours last?
Week and a half, 2 weeks.
Okay, so ours still lasts as long, but I don't have to cut off the bottoms. I just
Yeah.
put like the
I just
root
do that
side
because of the
down.
grocery store.
Oh yeah, I buy
Yeah.
mine from
And
a farmer's market, so I'm like,
yeah. Yeah.
I know the farmer.
Yeah,
I know where.
Arizona's farmers markets are really not good. It's tchotchkes and
Oh,
honey.
that's flea markets.
Yeah, it's more like a flea market versus a farmer's market. And
Oh,
and
that's
then
sad.
the things that grow here are things like tomatoes, bell peppers,
Yeah,
squash. So
yeah,
getting when we get like farm boxes and stuff, it's from within a 500-mile radius because of just the way what grows here versus what doesn't.
yeah,
So to get variety.
yeah.
And I think about all the people touching my food and I'm just like, and I'm
Like I
just
got this.
like, yeah, and it's
Yeah,
all, I'm just like, and I don't cut off very much. I cut off just like a very, like maybe a half an inch,
yeah.
maybe. That way it's fresh also, and just
Okay.
stick it so that it can absorb the water.
And that's a good point because, like, again, I can't buy anything in the grocery store, so
Yeah, well,
I
yours was
don't.
probably harvested the day before versus it's been in the
Actually, it's
grocery
usually
store
harvested
for,
the evening or morning of,
yeah,
by depending on
exactly.
what
And,
market I go to. Yeah,
so it's very
but
fresh. Where at a grocery store, it could be a week or two old by then.
already when you're yeah,
Yeah,
yep.
and then I've watched people cough into their hands and then
Yeah.
grab stuff and then put it back, and I'm like, are you kidding me? So yeah, I'm always like rinsing and then storing. But yeah, asparagus
Makes
and I didn't know
sense.
that for a long time, and and the tips would always get mushy, and it'd make me so mad, and it'd be like,
Yeah.
what is happening? And then I'm like, oh, it's supposed to be stored upright in a little bit of water,
Yeah.
and it was like life changing,
Right?
right?
And it's funny because growing up, well, having worked in Minnesota for so long, I worked in an area where we had wild asparagus. So
Mm.
like there's a whole nother world of asparagus if you want to get into like the wild foods.
Yeah. I think that for this episode, I don't think we're going to go there, but
Not this one. No, no.
real food is so fun once you really get into it and wrap your head around it.
Yeah.
So we've talked about food storage. Now let's talk about food preparation and
Okay.
techniques for that because making it taste good is a
Yeah.
challenge for people who've never cooked with real food before. It's a very real problem. But
Yeah.
also, I think people struggle with how they're supposed to eat food. And if you, this isn't a video, so you can't see me quoting this, but like, just raw versus cooked versus
Okay.
canned versus frozen. Like
Yeah.
there's this whole like people like to make things really complicated and most people don't have the allergies that you and I do. They don't,
Yeah.
especially you. You're like allergic to everything. But as people are just stepping into eating real food, it's really, for one, you have the intimidation of
Yeah.
eating real food. And then it's how do I make it taste good? So, what are
Well, and
some
then
tips that you have for that?
the other side of that is just to add one more caveat is you work with a lot of the acute people. So like me, like because I deal with chronic pain and I have a certain level of energy I can put into my day every day. Sometimes it's less, which means making food can be difficult because at this
Right,
stage we have to prepare our food. We're not
right,
we're not going to go order McDonald's. We're not going to get a pizza out of someone else's or freezer out of the grocery store. We have to make everything we eat.
right.
Um, so from a chronic pain perspective, this is where I'm going to come with this advice is I love throwing everything in one dish and letting it cook, and then I can walk
Yep,
away.
I'm the exact same way. Veggies get on a tray and put in the oven, and meat is
Yep.
either in a skillet or on the grill. And
I literally everything will go into one pot. Like if you want to,
Mhm.
people, because I don't have the energy for all those extra little things. Like,
Yeah.
so because of all my chronic diagnoses, I have two really nice roaster pans. My
Mm-hmm.
meat goes in the center. Depending on how thick, I might have to cut it open just to make sure it gets fully cooked. Move step back. I use locally grown olive oil, and
Mm-hmm.
I have a few that are flavored. So if I'm doing like a steak meal, which might be in something else, my steak meal, it is I usually use like an Italian herb oil to
Mm-hmm.
for the pan, put my steak in the middle. I'll sprinkle some salt around the edges, and then I'll put my potatoes face down. So
Mm-hmm.
they're sliced open, and then whatever seasonings I want, I might drizzle like an extra little olive oil on top, just because I like flavor.
Yeah.
How many other ways can we flavor this up, right? And then I literally cover it and bake it
Yeah.
for like 45 minutes to an hour, and then I just walk away for that, and I can rest.
Yep.
So it's quick, it's easy, and I'm not separating things out. I don't,
One of the things that I found with roasting is people do it on too low of a temperature and things get
yeah,
mushy.
yeah, don't
You
do too,
want a
yeah, like
little bit of
400 to
carb. Yep,
450.
400 to 450 is like the match. I've even
Yep.
said at 450 sometimes it cooks too quickly for people. So my magic range
Yes.
is 400 to 425.
Okay.
And and then if it's like if it needs just a little bit more browning, I will broil it for like 3 to 5 minutes
There you
just to give
go.
it that little extra crisp because that little extra crisp makes them just a little bit sweet. And people
Yes.
really, really love that.
Oh, I love that.
And I love one pot dishes, or one pan dishes. I find that
Yes.
that is really, really
Yep.
helpful. But yeah, it's that magic range because the oven automatically does 350. Everybody assumes that's like the magic number.
No,
And
I have,
it's
it's so rare to cook things at 350.
I think the only thing I cook at 350 is salmon. Like and green beans because green beans like burn really, really quick. And so I find 350 is for green beans and for salmon, and that's about it.
I will tell you, I love like throwing my green beans either in a steamer because I do have a steamer, all stainless steel because me, and
Hmm.
or letting them just boil in water. Like
Yeah.
I just
Like
love,
almost a
but then
blanch
I'm the
them.
type of girl that will go out in the garden and eat string beans as well as peas straight from the garden with like dirt on it because whatever.
Yeah. No, oh my gosh, green beans and peas from a garden are a whole other level of sweet that you just don't get from a grocery store.
You
What I like
don't.
doing, I have found, I don't do this very often just because, again, it's like time and all that, but I love blanching green beans,
Mm,
where you boil them and then you put them in ice water really quick. And then I just, wrap them in a dry paper towel, put them in a glass container, and stick them in the fridge. And then I can add them to salads. I can heat them at the very end of like skillet meals. Just throw them in right at the end just so they get warmed up.
yep.
and also for snacking. I was in like a habit of doing it for a while, but again, like life's just really hard. I'm 5 months pregnant. I have a child who is a stage 5
Yeah.
clinger who like screams if
Mm.
she's not touching me the whole time and I don't have all of her attention. So cooking's like even just that
It's,
the 10 minutes it takes to blanch a bunch of green beans, I don't even have the time to do. So I just
I
literally
know.
just
Yep.
throw them in the oven
Yep.
or throw them in a skillet with my meal and like just do that. But
Yep.
blanching is my favorite way to eat green beans. And if you are like, I don't know if I like green beans, you want to blanch them. You boil
Yep.
the water, you add them, put a timer on for 5 minutes. As soon as that timer is done, strain them and then put them in ice water for 3 minutes and then take them out and let them dry.
Ah,
Easiest
I love
thing,
green beans.
and they are so good. They're just a little bit crispy without being rockets. You know what I find is people who did not grow up eating fruits and vegetables don't like crispy. They don't like it's very weird. I don't understand it, but
Interesting.
I have found that the crispiness with the juice releasing of fruits and vegetables really weirds them out. It's the I don't understand it. I grew up
Interesting.
eating real food, so it's
Yeah.
completely foreign to me, but I have found I've been doing this for 13 years. I have found that people who did not grow up eating real food, they really struggle with raw fruits and vegetables. It's just one of those things that is a real struggle. And so cooking
Yeah.
them is really kind of
Because it's a
helpful.
different,
Yeah.
and they usually say they're texture averse, and some people are absolutely texture averse.
Mhm.
And others is just something completely different that your tongue's never experienced before.
Yeah. And the
So,
brain does not know how to process it.
mm-mm.
And so really stepping into real food is this journey of getting your taste buds back, which is hard.
Yep.
And, that takes like food doesn't taste good for like 5 days. Like it just tastes really bland, which is why the crowd out method of let's add in a snack or let's add in vegetables to a meal is so effective because you start the healing process more gradually. And so food is
Yes.
still enjoyable. And again, in the
Yes.
acute world or the chronic illness world or allergies where you're pushed into a complete dietary overhaul, I find salt is my best friend. Salting food, especially with vegetables, I salt them in the beginning. The salty flavor cooks off, but adding the salt helps release the juices, so
Yes.
they cook nicely. And then
Yes.
adding salt at the end to taste is what so like when people really struggle with real food, like my kids, my trick to getting them to eat vegetables is to add salt right before I serve it to them. And so I
Oh,
sprinkle with salt and they will eat pretty much anything, including chicken and steak and stuff if I add a little bit of salt on it right before I
yep.
serve it to them. And I have found that people who find food to be bland, that is a really easy trick to make food taste good is right before you eat it, sprinkle with a little bit of salt and all of a sudden
Yep.
it tastes good.
And that's where the pinch of salt comes in.
Yeah. But a lot of people will add all of it in the beginning and then never salt it again.
I'm one of those because that's just me, but my husband adds the extra salt for his at the end. So
Yeah,
like,
my husband is you. He's not a big salt person. And I could have a salt lick and I would be happy. So, and I've just found that with kids and with people who find food to be bland, that little extra salt right before eating is a
it makes all
complete
the difference.
game changer for when it comes
Yeah.
to making real food taste good. And again, I think it's part of it is I think it's multifaceted, right? From the chronic illness approach, it could be the bacteria or the gut being unhealthy and leaky that you're not absorbing nutrients, so you're low on salt. Could be that you're
Yep.
you're in a really high stress time of your life and you're just blowing through salt like crazy, but also could be that you have really high blood sugar and extra salt just made you retain water. And
Yeah.
so having salt really, and so like there's this thing where I'm like, there's not this one blanket thing. You need salt in the beginning to release the water from from the produce. It really, really makes a huge difference to add a little bit
Yeah.
in the beginning of the cooking process. But then if you find food being bland, big fan of a little bit of salt right before eating. Just sprinkle it on,
Yeah.
and it's like a game changer.
And it's such a simple thing. Like you're not talking about additional spices. You're talking about something that we already have in our homes that
Yeah.
is so easy to just add. So, I mean, it's because I think, again, like we said at the very beginning, so much of our food we think has to be complicated, and it doesn't
Hmm.
need to be. It's what is the simple little thing you can do that makes the biggest difference.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
That's amazing.
And one of my other tricks when people are really nervous about venturing into real food is at least here in Phoenix, we have a lot of healthy restaurants. They don't use seed oils. They don't, they're very food allergy friendly. And
Yeah.
you can go and, like, let's say you want to try Brussels sprouts. A restaurant will do Brussels sprouts really well. They will do butternut
They will.
squash really well. They will make a salad be the most amazing salad on the planet. And it's a very
Yeah.
low risk way to try new vegetables.
Yep.
And then it gives you, once you go, okay, this did taste good, it gives you the courage to try to replicate it at home.
Yep.
And so I find that if you find yourself buying this real food, having a plan, you go in with a meal plan and everything, and then it's time to make it and you just stare at it in the fridge and then you go and grab something else because it's
Yes.
intimidating, right? Like you've never
It
cooked it before.
is.
You don't know if you're going to like it. You don't want to
Right.
spend, even if it's just, putting it in the oven and walking away for 40 minutes, you don't want to be excited for 40 minutes to eat and then it'd be like gross. And
Oh,
so
no
there's this
doubt.
intimidation factor. And
Yeah.
so I find going to health focused restaurants is a really low risk way to try new vegetables and then eat them at home.
Yeah. And that brought back a memory for when I first started my journey, and we were trying bok choy for the first time.
That's an earthy one right there.
Oh, no, if you want earthy, try a Spanish turnip. I will never eat those again. I have got to find a way to make them taste better. I might need to chat you up on that one.
Yeah, it's funny because I really don't like butternut squash. I don't like it. I
Oh,
love acorn squash. I love, like, there's the carnival squash, there's a delicata squash, but butternut squash is just too squashy for me.
oh,
But
we
I have found a butternut squash soup that I can make
yes,
that makes it
yes.
taste good. I roast the butternut
Yep,
squash, an apple, and
yep,
an onion all on the same pan. I
yep,
scoop the flesh out. I decore the apple. I recommend decoring the apple, like doing a
yeah,
little apple core thing, and then just taking the core
yep.
out before you roast it. It makes it a lot easier on the other
Oh
side.
dear.
Throwing the onion in, and then like chicken broth and some Italian herbs, salt and pepper. Blend it, and
Yep,
then I
that's
can
all.
eat it. That is the
Yeah,
only way I like butternut squash. I don't do butternut squash fries. I don't like it chopped up and in a salad. I don't like it, but I have found a way
to make
to,
it work.
to make it work.
We need to compare. Okay, so my butternut squash recipe is completely different. But because I love butternut squash soup, because I can't use broth. What we
Mm-hmm.
do is I like really creamy soups.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a safe goat cheese that I make into almost like a creme fraiche,
Uh-huh.
and that gets added in with water. So it's a
Okay.
nice creamy. But then we use like carrots, and I'll throw tomatoes and beets, and I pump it up with all the vegetables that I'm tired of looking at, but I still want to eat them.
Yeah. And that's actually I love, like, chicken soup. I don't do chicken noodle. I do chicken soup with vegetables, and you can
Oh,
almost add every vegetable that you have almost and make
almost,
some
yes.
sort of, really delicious
Soups.
soup.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like I have the entire spice collection in my kitchen. Like I literally have two shelves of spices. Like I like have one of everything that they have at the grocery store, the organic ones.
Yep.
And I have everything, and I have them grouped by flavor. So I have like my Indian spices together, my pumpkin spices
It's
together, my Mexican spices
yeah.
together. Um, my Mediterranean spices all together. So I have them like sectioned by use so I can just grab them all at once and make. But I have found that herbs and spices can make the exact same meat and vegetables taste like 12 different ways.
Right. Yes.
And so that helps
Yes.
prevent food boredom because the other thing that happens with
Yes.
real food is people get bored.
Or yeah.
Especially if you're doing farmers market or you're trying to eat seasonally so you can for one, when you eat what's in season, it's significantly cheaper. Like if
Yep.
you're eating apples in the middle of winter, they're not very good. And they
Mhm.
they so they don't have as much flavor and they're expensive. Grapes in the summer are super expensive. They go bad, but in the winter when they're in season,
Yeah.
they last longer and they taste better, right? But they're
Yep.
also, instead of like 4.99 a pound, they're 1.99 a pound or less, right? So it's like as you get into this, you're like, okay, I'm gonna buy whatever's on sale because you get comfortable with throwing stuff together, right? Like you get
Yeah.
comfortable with like knowing, okay, in the winter I have these set of recipes and in the summer I have these set of recipes for whatever's in season. And that's, I would say, 2 to 3 years into the journey, really, because the
Yeah.
first year you're just really, really fumbling. And then year two, you have the recipes that you like. And then year three, you're bored of all the recipes that you like and you start getting
Right. Yep.
adventurous.
Yep.
Um, and so hopefully by people listening to us, for one, we're just really enjoying our conversation, but they're seeing that first you have to know how to store it so that it lasts, so that you're not throwing money away. And then it's how do you prepare it? And the oven is one of the easiest ways to make every single vegetable taste good.
It
Hands
is.
down,
Absolutely.
like every single vegetable tastes good. And then adding spices and knowing how to use spices, that it
Yeah.
begins to add variety.
Yep.
Salt and pepper go a real long way, but like eventually you're going to get bored of that too. And so knowing how to use herbs and spices, they don't have to be fresh, even though fresh do
Mhm.
taste amazing.
Yep.
Having something that you can grab again is if you have the ability, if your health allows you to have dried herbs and spices, it's a complete game changer when it comes to variety.
It really
And
is.
I think that the biggest struggle is just having permission to try it,
Experiment.
to
Yeah.
experiment, to put salt on your food and to eat things the way that you like it. I have a cousin who will
Yeah.
not eat carrots raw for the life of her. She thinks they're one of the most disgusting things on the planet, but cooked, she's fine. And I'm like, and she's like, but I know that raw carrots are better for me. I'm like, they're not better. They have different properties, but you can get those properties in other things.
Yeah.
Like it's not
Yeah,
this like,
exactly.
some people only like raw tomatoes and they don't like cooked tomatoes. It's too acidic for
Yeah.
their stomachs. That is
Right.
okay.
Hey, yeah.
And I think that giving permission to not peop for people to not like everything every way,
Yep.
to also give yourself permission to try. But one thing I will say is when you try a new recipe, only do it on the weekends when you have time and have a backup plan in
Yeah.
case it doesn't taste good. Because when I first started my journey, I just would follow cookbooks and I would say, that one's a pretty picture. I'm going to make it. And it
Oh
would be like
no.
3 hours later and taste like dirt. And I was like, this was a complete fail. I'm not eating this,
Yep.
and you can't do that on a weeknight when
No.
life is
You
busy.
can if you have leftovers in your refrigerator for everybody to eat.
But trying a new recipe takes so much mental energy that it
Mental.
feels like it takes so
It
much time.
does.
And when you're already depleted and already
Yeah.
hungry, that is not the time to try something new.
Yeah.
So I always say
Absolutely.
try new stuff on Fridays and Saturdays.
Yep.
And so, if you have two recipes a weekend that you try at the end of 3 months, half of those are going to be good and they can
Yeah.
start working into your rotation. And
Hmm.
and that's a really easy way to start crowding out the unhealthy meals and replacing them with healthy ones, but don't do it when you're already stretched thin, tired, and hungry. When you
Right.
can start cooking at 4 o'clock on a Saturday, and if it's, and if you're new to chopping vegetables and you don't want to cut your finger off, it
Oh,
takes
yeah.
more time. Yeah. But actually, it's funny. One of my best friends came over for dinner last night and she was just, she chopped like, I don't know, like 6 potatoes. And on her very last potato, she sliced her finger open,
Oh,
and it's like that
nice.
happens to all of us.
Yeah, it
We
does.
just were laughing and talking and distracted and a finger got in the
Oh.
way,
Oh.
and during the week when you have kids and sports and all of that, like you just don't have the
The time.
capacity, so when you can start
Exactly.
at 4 and you can get used to chopping and get used to and watching food because you watch it because you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. So there's just
Yeah. You can't just walk away.
you can't just walk away. So you have to stare at it and like you have to do that when you have the capacity. And
Yes.
your days off when you can take the time, a 30-minute meal might take you an hour and a half the very first time,
Yep.
and so it won't take you an hour and a half every time because
Mhm.
eventually chopping veggies will become second nature and you'll start meal prepping. Sundays
Yep.
will be the day you chop everything and you're getting ready to go because and then you can stir it, walk away for 5 minutes and know that it's going to be okay when you come back. And it's like to try new foods, you have to know how to store it so that it lasts, so you're not throwing money away. I think that's really, really important because the biggest struggle is I feel like you're throwing money in the trash can when you don't cook it.
Right.
you know,
It's like
and that's,
gut-wrenching.
and when you're eating ultra processed food, it stays good in your cabinet for 2 years.
Except you got the medical bills now to follow that up.
You do have the medical bills, which is why you're starting to eat real food. That transition of like it's this whole lifestyle shift of eating to eat real food.
It
And
is.
and it's something that takes time. And if we can
Hmm.
give you shortcuts to so that it doesn't take 3 years, but maybe it takes 6 months, that's the goal. And so, Amy and I have these incredible resources. I am going to strongly recommend going into the show notes and getting her and using her coupon code for your book. What's it
I
called
haven't
again?
created it yet. I'm going to send it to you.
Okay,
I think
perfect.
you have
Yeah.
to go into the show notes
Yeah,
to get
you're
it
gonna have to
because
go into
it'll,
the show notes, get this book on food storage
yep,
because knowing, even if you just start with, I'm gonna pick three vegetables. These are the three that I like, and I know that I like them, so I'm gonna start with how do I store these and make them last, right?
yep,
Then you decide to add, every week maybe you add another one, right? You don't have to do it all at once. And then it's like, all right, I'm gonna take up one of Amy's and Marion's meal plans and I'm going to try their meals. I'm going to stick to just on the weekends, trying one or two of them. And I'm going to give myself, 3 months to find some new recipes. And then you start working into, okay, I'm going to meal plan and I'm going to buy based on that meal plan. And so it's like you can't do everything all at once. So, like I say, at church, they were talking about 1% every day. I say 1% a week, really,
yeah,
because it's like, start with your snacks and then, or, start with adding a vegetable with dinner and start with replacing your cereal with eggs for breakfast. And,
mhm,
and just finding like egg muffins are one of the easy ones for people who are on the go, right? You know that you taste good because you
yeah,
buy them from Starbucks. You can make those at home without all the crap in them. And you can make them on Sunday and they're last through Wednesday. So that's like
right,
3 days of breakfast that's done for you.
right,
And you can
yep,
make them three different ways. So every morning's a different flavor of egg muffin, right? And so it's like this transition. So switching from ultra processed to real food is a slow and steady process that does not have to
yeah,
be done all at once.
exactly. And especially when there's people out there who can help you. You're not the only one to have to go through this. You don't
Yeah.
have to be by
You
yourself.
don't have to take 7 years like I did to figure this all out. How long did it
I've been
take
going through
you?
this for over a decade and I
Yeah,
still feel like I'm learning. So,
yeah. So it's like take advantage of every shortcut available to you. Amy and I both have an incredible amount of resources for you. We both offer
yeah,
coaching. You don't have to do it alone because doing it
yeah,
alone takes a really, really long time and a lot of
yes.
trial and error and a lot of money. And if we can save you a lot of money and a lot of time, your health will just grow. I mean, the deduct health insurance is so crazy expensive. It blows my mind. And it's like people are losing their lives to medical bills
They are.
and just medical problems, health problems. And you
Mhm.
don't have to.
No. Yeah. I'm a professional speaker, and one of the things I quote is the medical journals I read, they have consistently connected 71% of health conditions are directly related to ultra processed foods. 71%. That's a lot of time and money being spent in the hospital when you don't need to be there.
Yeah. And it's so avoidable,
It is. Yeah,
but it's intimidating.
it is.
And it's a process starting with snacks and vegetables at meals and then just keep going from there. And
Yeah.
again, it doesn't not you can do things like sticking meat and veggies in a casserole dish and
Yeah.
walking away.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be, and it shouldn't be something that's elaborate and time consuming. It should be something that is quick and easy. It shouldn't take you more than a few minutes of prep,
Yep.
and I mean, I'm a big fan of skillet meals, and my skillet meals take 10 to 20 minutes, depending on how many
Oh, yeah.
fresh versus frozen foods I add to it. It's really easy to stir and walk away. I can deal with a screaming toddler. I can have her on
Yep.
my hip and I can stir. And, she's at the point now where she can hold the handle so it doesn't spin around for me.
Yay.
And, and so it's like, and she helps me chop veggies. I don't So I have like a safe knife for her. Like there's ways to make it work, but it should not be complicated.
Right. And it doesn't have to be. I think that's the biggest thing. At the end of the day, this is your health is more important, and it's with the right tools, you can make it work no matter what level you're at.
Yeah. So if people want to connect with you and get your resources, where are they going? Even though it's going to be in the show notes, let's tell them where they're
It's going to
going.
be in your show notes. Thehiddenconsumer.com/home. I've got everything is there, the book, and I have a store. I launched a store since we last time we chatted.
Yay! Congratulations.
That's where you're going to put your coupon code. You're going to go to the store and put your coupon code in, so you get you get the resource for free, because it's a $10 charge. You guys are going to get it for free. So you just have to put in your special coupon code, which I will create at the end of the show.
Awesome. Yes. And I do recommend her book. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes of food that
Hmm.
is very frustrating and angering.
Yeah.
And after you read it, you're going to want to just throw everything out in your home and start over. You don't have to. It's very expensive to do it that way, but
Yeah.
knowing what's in our food can lead to food advocacy,
Yeah.
which can lead to better farming
Better.
methods, which
Yeah.
can lead to healthier food for the masses, not just for those of us who have the time and resources to
Sources.
do
Yep.
farmers markets and not mainstream shopping. It'd be really nice to be able to just go to the grocery store and know that the food that's in there you can trust. And it
Yeah.
takes knowledge and
Mhm.
advocacy. You know,
Understand. Yeah.
I think it's just so important when you're on your health journey. When you get to a place where you can learn more, that's
Hmm.
when we can do more and we can really
Yep.
change the food system here in America because we
Yeah.
are truly at a detriment compared to other countries, which
Yep.
is very frustrating. And, you know, food is so much easier now than it was 15 years ago, but we still have such a long way to go. And so I do recommend her book, and I'm going to strongly recommend her food storage guide. Just anything else that resonates with you, take advantage of what she has to offer because it's going to help you get healthy and stay that way for good, which is the goal.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. I'm right there with you. And I recommend you, because anyone who can make food taste better quickly, you are the resource.
Thank you. That is my ultimate goal is how do I make a 5 ingredient recipe taste like you drool thinking about it. That's my goal is like it tastes good. And so healthy food doesn't taste good unless you know how to make it taste good,
Yep. Yep.
and especially when you're new to it, my food's very, very flavorful and I do that on purpose.
Excellent. You.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Amy. It was so good seeing you.
Good seeing you too. This has been so much fun. Anytime, just let me know if you need to fill in a spot. I'm here for you.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you found this episode helpful, would you do me a favor and help others find it by leaving a review, sharing a screenshot on social media, or sharing the link with a friend? By you sharing what you've learned, others are able to find this podcast and join our community. Be sure to check out my website, www.roadtolivingwhole.com, for over 160 delicious recipes, a variety of meal plans, and a blog packed full of even more healthy living tips. If you'd like to learn more about how to work with me as your coach, you can schedule a free consult through www.roadtolivingwhole.com/health-coaching/. Until next time, friend. Bye.